dear devotees and friends, and greetings for this holy day, the Easter Sunday. This is a very, very important day for the Christendom, for the Christian world, those who are following the Jesus. Because today, from today, the Christianity separated themselves from their traditional Judaisms. And you know that last Friday was the Good Friday. Though it was the death day of the Jesus Christ. The Jesus passed away, died on cross on Friday. But still they say Good Friday. Why? Of course, there are some groups of Christians, particularly the Germans, they don't accept it as a good. They mourn on that particular day. But why the traditional Christians, they accept that Friday when Jesus died on the cross, when Jesus was betrayed by his direct disciple, and Jesus was not acknowledged by his direct disciple, when with all these things, why they say that this is a very good day, the holy day, Good Friday? Because the man Jesus passed away on that day, and this Sunday, the Easter Sunday, God Jesus resurrected. He came, he appeared. So that is the difference. The Jesus with the flesh, that he passed away on the cross, and Jesus the Spirit, he revealed himself on this Sunday. So today is a great day for the Christian brothers and sisters. This is a Easter Sunday. So I pray to Jesus, let us also get resurrection from this bondage of this body and mind. But at the same time, friends, today we are going to discuss about a wonderful philosophy, a very popular philosophy which believes only this flesh and nothing else. But someone rang me and told, on Easter day you were discussing about Charvaka Philosophy. That is the best day to discuss. Because when we remember the Jesus in the spirit, and at the same time there was a great movement was there, arguments was there, very strong arguments, that this life is nothing but this body and nothing else. We will come to that. Before that, as always we pray, let us pray pray to God for taking us from the ignorance, the limitations, to the eternity, from the ignorance to darkness to the light. So let us pray together. Please repeat after me. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mritturma Amritam Gamaya Aviravirima Edhi Rudrayate Dakshinam Mukham Tenamam Pahi Nityam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is from the ignorance to knowledge. That is the prayer. The darkness means ignorance. What is that ignorance? We will be discussing in the philosophy, Charvaka Philosophy. It is also named as Lokayata Philosophy. And from that ignorance to the light, to the knowledge, that is the prayer. And when we get that, when you go beyond the ignorance, what happens? We go to the Amrit. The conception of Amrit is the eternity. So, Mritturma Amritam Gamaya. Ma means us, we. So, please help us to go from the death, which is temporary, to the eternity. So, that is the prayer. And I was giving a talk on the last Friday, the last Friday, in the Ohio. There's a group of devotees there, they came. I was talking about the message of the Good Friday. What is the message of the Good Friday? Forgiveness. Forgive, forgive, forgive. He was in that excruciating pain, the Jesus, he was forgiving those who were creating problem for him. He never complained. So that is the forgiveness is the message of the Good Friday. And what is the message of the Easter Sunday? When he resurrected? Faith, faith, faith. There is God, there is God, there is God. It is beyond all limitations. So today when we are going to study this particular philosophy, they say this was actually started by one Brihaspati. Mainly the Brihaspati, the name we heard that he is the Devaguru, he is not this Brihaspati. Lokya, L-A-U-K-Y-A, Lokya, Brihaspati Lokya, or they say Brahmanaspati, the two names are there, is considered as the founder of the Indian materialism. It is not that only India was having this philosophy, many other. So Greek philosophy also having this materialistic philosophy. So Indian materialistic philosophy, and this Brihaspati is materialist. Another thinker also, Paramestin, was a skeptic. He was doubtful, always doubted. So this is the beginning of this philosophy. References of this philosophy is found in the hymns of the Rig Veda. So they took the support of the Rig Veda to defute the Rig Veda. They never believed in the Veda. Last time we were discussing that heterodox and orthodox. The heterodox means those who do not believe in the existence of the Veda, authority of the Veda. They belong to the heterodox. They don't believe. But they were quoting from the Rig Veda. They said, Asad sad jayate. From asad, from negation, from nothing, sad jayate. Something is coming. You need not to bother about the God or the Creator. It is nothing like that. So this is asat sadjayate, that was the support. In the Kathopanishad, there is a statement, it says, in the first chapter, 20th sloka, they say, Iyam prete bichikitsa manushye asti iti eke, nayam asti iti chaike. Some say there is something. You may remember that when we are studying the Kathopanishad over here, the Nachiketa is asking this question to the Yama, who promised to give him some boons. So that was the last prayer that he was asking. There he quoted, some say that there is no such thing as Atman or Brahman or the God. Some say it is there. So that is the doubt. That means in those days, the discussions were there. That is the reference from the Kathopanishad, that it is there. And materialists must have preceded Buddhism. The Buddha also referred about them. Manu refers this materialist as Nastika, nihilist. And also Manu said, Manu the lawmaker of the Hindus, he said, They are Pashanda. This is heretics. So that means they were very, very ancient. When this knowledge was dawning in the hearts of the rishis and people were accepting that, a group of people again came immediately to protest. And they were forwarding something else, a different type of knowledges. So, thesis, immediately there will be an antithesis. This is obvious. This is the antithesis came. And Monu mentioned them as Nastika and also Pashanda. This philosophy is also known as Lokayata Darshan because it holds that this world, Lokayata, Loka means this world, is existing and nothing else. So Lokayata Darshan, this world is only existing and nothing else, then why you are taking so much of trouble to go to church, to go to holy places, go to temple and all that? It's not necessary. We will come to that conclusion. And it is also known as the Charvaka Philosophy because there was a sage, they say, by the name Charvaka. And from him only the Charvaka Philosophy. Some say no, it is Charuvaka. Charu means very attractive, very nice. You need not to do anything. Only whatever you earn, utilize that completely. If necessary, it's so good in this country. Just go on taking the loan from the bank. Then one day you declare bankrupt. Yes, that is okay. So like that, you just leave. There's no problem for you. So this way they say Charu Bhaka. It's very attractive. They're very simple. So that's why from there Charvaka. And some say no, this doctrine is preaching only eat, drink and be merry. So that is why eat means charva. Charva, eating, chewing. So from there Charvaka. So this Charvaka philosophy came from all these different type of names were there. And there's a beautiful poem they write, and that was very popular. They said, while life is yours, live joyfully. Life is yours, live joyfully. None can escape death's searching eyes. When once this frame of ours they burn, how shall it ever again return? So that is the Charvaka philosophy, and from here begins the whole philosophy. Why they say like that? Whatever may be the founder, whoever may be the founder, but this they say is a materialistic philosophy. And that was the view of the common people. And the materialism ideas again presented as a philosophy under the three main heads. What is that? Epistemology, metaphysics and ethics. The philosophy means you have to explain why you are telling like this. Just simply you come and say something that won't help. You have to give the arguments. Who is the creator of this universe? And what is this universe? And what is the relation between this universe and the creator? So these, when three questions, if you can answer, then only it is a philosophy, it is a darshan. In India, they always say it's a darshan. You have realized this, and then you are coming and propagating, you are welcome. So they started like this. So epistemology is there's a theory of knowledge. Realization is necessary. You have to understand everything. Then only you can say that is called epistemology, theory of knowledge. How you got to know about this? How you knew? So they say, how far can we know reality? That is the first question. The reality, how far can we know? That means, can we know the God? No. The Brahman? No. That there is an unfathomable knowledge. So first thing they doubted that. They're telling how it is possible. How far can we know the reality? You know, the Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna also said, you cannot fathom the God. It is so vast, it is impossible to understand Him in totality. A little bit of things you can understand, but in totality it is impossible. And then second they say, how does knowledge originate and develop? When we are seeing something, hearing something, or something is happening, from that we are getting the knowledge. Where from the knowledge is coming, originating, and how it is developing. What are the different sources of knowledge? So these are the three questions. Usually the traditional people, they, particularly the Nyayikas and the others, they say there are three major sources of the knowledge. One is Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, and Shabda. Upamana, some people they use, some people not. Upamana means comparison. That's called Upamana. Pratyaksha, that's called Pramana. Pramana is the proof. Unless and until you can prove it, then it is not accepted. That is the materialistic view. So here they say, the Charvaka holds that the perception is the only pramana or dependable source of knowledge. Perception, pratyaksha. And in that pratyaksha we have 5 organs, chakshu, karna, nashika, jiva and tak. We see chakshu, we hear like that, we taste, we touch. So all these feelings are coming and giving that knowledge to the mind. Charvaka say, these we can understand. This we are directly doing. We are not depending on anyone. So for them, the source of knowledge is only one, that is pratyaksha. The pramana is only one, that is pratyaksha. On the basis of these only, epistemology, on the basis of the source of knowledge, system of knowledge, the whole philosophy developed. And we can understand, beyond this pratyaksha, beyond this sense knowledge, they don't accept. Now second is inference, anumana. Anumana also pramana. Anumana, we are just imagining, we are just having that idea, and where from that comes? They say, that if inference to be regarded as a pramana, it must yield knowledge about which we can have no doubt, and which must be true to reality. That is the argument of the Charvakas. There's a Lokayata and other names are there, but I am using this word Charvaka because it is very popular name and people they know this philosophy as Charvaka philosophy. The Charvakas, they say, we can accept only that argument which we can directly, you say something, I go, I see, then perceive, then I say, yes, it is true. So only that much and nothing else. But inference cannot fulfill these conditions because when we infer, for example, the existence of fire in a mountain from the perception of smoke in it, we take a leap in the dark from the perceived smoke to the unperceived fire. So that is the argument. Mainly this fire and the smoke. For that, over that so many pages it goes. I am only giving a few lines. The fire and the smoke, that is the main argument it goes. As the Vedantin, they will always tell you about the rope and the snake. They will constantly, anywhere, any Vedantin speaking, and if you read any book, the rope and the snake. That is the, and here they say, but our Charvakas, they say smoke and fire. Usually we always think the smoke and the fire, wherever there is a smoke, there is a fire. That is the conclusion. I can remember that we were going in a wrong time, of course, that was not the time to go to Amarnath, but we secretly somehow managed. and we were going secretly so that the police or the army do not notice us, 4 of us, the Swamis. It was so much of snow, even the horses, it was difficult for them to walk. So we reached on the top, we could see that valley of 5 rivers. And these people from whom we hired the horses, they were also with us. They thought this is sufficient. And they told, look at the Swamiji, there's nothing. So if we go over there, we have to stay for the whole night and we will die. We don't have any provision. We were having a lot of provision. Somehow, they sent out that horse somewhere. They say, the horse is lost, we don't have any provision, we will die, there is no place to live. Suddenly I noticed that smoke is coming out. Then I told, do you know this philosophy? No, sir. I told, where there is a smoke, there is a fire, let us go. And where there is a fire, there must be some people. And somehow it really clicked. When we went, we found the government people. They have come to close down the guest houses. They're all on the way, the houses are there. And they were collecting all the blankets and all those. They were loading on the horseback. One horse ran away, so they were waiting for the horse to come back or to search in the next morning. It was evening, terribly cold. When we reached over there, by that time we were doggedly tired. Somehow we got down, and then these people were there. Immediately they took care of us. So I remembered the philosophy also, that where there is a smoke, there is a fire, and where there is a fire, some people must be there. But the Charvakas, it is good that among the 4 of us, there was no Charvaka. So there was no argument. Charvaka says, no. You may say like that. Maybe that many times there are smoke and because the cause is fire. But have you considered that they say it bhakti? Universal way, can you accept it? Individual, okay, I accept. But the moment you say wherever there will be fire, smoke, there is fire, in the universal way, if you say we cannot accept. All cases of smoke are causes of fire, the argument they give. So the mountain, the argument that you are giving, over the mountain there is a smoke, must be there is a fire, it also comes under this. All cases of smoke as the cases of fire. Why not? Then the Charvaka points out, the reply is, this contention would be acceptable only if the major premise standing in invariable relation between the smoke and the fire were beyond doubt. And that is called the invariable relation, means the bhakti. Bhakti is the word they used. There is an invariable relation. There is no change, never, ever. So that is the bhakti. Can be established only if we have a knowledge of all cases of smoke and the presence of fire. Have you visited all the places wherever there is a smoke? Have you gone and seen that there is a fire? If you have not, then how can you say that all the cases there will be, wherever there is a smoke, there is a fire? No, it may not be. Then they say, wetness of will may be the cause of smoke sometimes. When we see the smoke is coming out in many places, there is no fire, but the smoke is coming maybe from the snow and from the wet, some things are there. So they noticed, they say, where there is no fire. So obviously, when there is an example that without fire, smoke may be there, then you cannot say that this is, sometimes I notice in this country particularly, I notices that the smokes are coming out, but there is no fire actually, because some of the machines are going on, so the smokes are coming out. Exactly the fire, the condition of the fire is not there. So they give in this way, the pratyaksha, direct perception, otherwise we are not accepting. So they are defeating anumana, the inference. So this is the one argument they always say, and again they go in this way. If we do not believe in any fixed universal law underlying the phenomena of the world, how would we explain the uniformities that experience object and process and the progress? So the argument is this: if we do not accept some law somewhere, why is fire always experienced to be hot and water to be cool? This is another argument. So if you are telling that every time there is a new type of thing should be there, we have to go and check, then we know that the fire is always hot and water is always cool. So there we need not to go to touch all the fire, whether it is hot, or to go and touch all the water, whether it is cool. We accept it. Water means cool and fire means hot, isn't it? So that was the argument. Then the Charvakas, they say, this is the Swabhava. Swabhava means the characters of a particular object, of things that they possess particular character. No supernatural principle need to be supposed to account for the properties of experienced object of nature. There is neither any guarantee that uniformity perceived in the past would continue in future. There cannot be the uniformal. Why? Now they say, go to Jamunotri. The water is boiling. You are telling that water is supposed to be cool. Go to the Jamunotri, the source of Jamunotri, the Jamuna. The water is boiling, and so much so, people are cooking in that water. They don't have any ovens or anything. They are simply tying some rice and putting in the water. It is becoming the boiled, then they are taking it out. How it is possible? There are many ponds here and there. Of course, the other materials are there below. So that is the reason to become the hot. But they are giving this reason. There are rivers and ponds where water is hot and not cool. So why you can say all water is cool and all fire is hot? You cannot prove. So the materialist giving this very strong argument, and this way it goes. It is a fact that sometimes our inference comes true and leads to successful result, but it is also a fact that sometimes inference leads to error as well. So inference cannot be accepted as the proof, as a pramana. So these are the arguments. The inference is gone. So there are only three: Pratyaksha, Anumana and Shabda. Shabda means the words of the realized people. They accept only one, Pratyaksha. But the Anumana, the inference, the argument they say, sometimes it is true, sometimes it is false, so we cannot accept this. Friends, philosophy means experience. Unless and until you experience, then it cannot be the philosophy. We are just reading something, that is the information. But the moment it is a philosophy to you, your life's philosophy, it must be the direct perception. Otherwise, it is not possible. So they give this example, and Anumana is done. Now come the next is a Shabda. Shabda means the testimony. That is the Shabda. Some of the people, when they are telling, like Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna said, I promise, I swear, there is God. And immediately we are accepting it. The Vedas, they are proclaiming that there is Brahman, that all covering consciousness, ever, never change, Aja, Amara, Akshaya, all these terms they are using. And we are accepting. And our whole life, spiritual life, philosophical life is based on the words that we accept from this type of rishis of the great souls. When we accept the word of others, like our teachers, in the books also, there are so many things. When we used to read about something, about the information about the America, then we come over here, we go over there, we see about that, then it becomes a different experience. The ambassador of India, the present ambassador, he visited the Chicago, and he was telling, the moment I got down to the Chicago airport, I told that I must go to that particular place where Swami Vivekananda gave that the lecture, the famous lecture, the Chicago, that lecture. Because when you were children, almost all the Indian boys and Indian students and Indians, they are hearing about that unique speech that Swami Vivekananda delivered in Chicago. So that was, he heard and he believed, Shabda, that was the proof. He heard, he read, he believed. Now he came all the way, went over there, saw it and believed it, accepted it. But many of the times when they say something, that may not be the true. So they say argument, it may not be. They here say, we cannot regard the testimony or the shabda of competent person as a valid and safe source of knowledge. Do we not very often act on knowledge received from authority? The argument they are giving. And the Charvaka is giving the reply. They say, testimony or the shabda consists of words. And obviously, so far as words are heard through our own ears, they are perceived knowledge of words is. Therefore, knowledge through perception is a quite valid. When you say something and that tallies with my experience, I accept that. They say this is valid. This is the valid knowledge. But in so far as these words suggest things not within our perception, and they are not free from error or doubt, how can we accept that thing which we have not perceived? So that they say, and very often if we are misled by so-called authority, the authority of the Vedas, for example. Now they are giving you, I am not reading that particular portion, they are criticizing the Veda and the Rishis in a very strong term. Why? They are unnecessarily, they say, inspiring people to do something which they can never understand, never perceive about the Atman, about the Brahman, about the all-pervading consciousness, etc. We cannot directly understand, and why should we go for that, spending so much of time? That is the argument they say. But will not our knowledge be extremely limited and practical life sometimes impossible if we do not accept the words of the experienced and do not depend on the expert advice? That is the argument against their philosophy. When they say we only hear directly and then it is tallying with our experience, we understand that, we accept that. Or otherwise we cannot accept. So sometimes the Swamiji also, our scriptures also say, Sri Ramakrishna also said, you have to use the discriminative capacity, your brain. Sometimes somebody said that milk is black. As because he is a guru or a respected person, he said, and immediately accept. No, why? You go and see and taste. That is also there. Argument is there. But these people, they say, don't accept anything, any word from anyone, only your life. So the argument, then naturally, if we are not listening, accepting, understanding things from that is coming down as the knowledge, how it is possible to make the progress? In the reply they say, so far as we depend on any authority because we think it is reliable, the knowledge obtained is really based on inference. It is an inference again. He said and I am accepting, but I don't know actually. I am thinking that it may be. It is inference. And we have already said that inference cannot be accepted. Being based on inference, knowledge derived from the verbal testimony or the authority is as the defutable as the inference. And as in the case of the inference, so here we often act on knowledge derived from authority on the wrong belief that it is reliable. Sometimes this belief accidentally leads to the successful result, sometimes it does not. Therefore, authority or the testimony cannot be regarded as a safe and valid source of knowledge. So that is the argument. Now, those who are the students of the philosophy, they know always, again and again, this is the epistemology, that is the way to understand, way the knowledge, that is very, very important. Here we find all the Indian philosophy, most of the philosophies, they depend on 3 or 4 systems. What is that? Pratyaksha, direct. What is the direct? With the 5 knowledge capacity. And then anumana, inference, as because somebody has already experienced and he is mentioning, telling, or that we see most of the time it happens like this. So, whenever we see that white type of the cloud, they say it will, this time it may snow. When I came over here, I was not knowing, I never saw how the snow, etc. That was the first time, and the person who was driving, he was pointing out to the sky and said, the sky is so whitish, a little, not completely white, we can, a different type of color, not black. So they say this type of color when is having the cloud, so it may snow. But we know from our experience, whenever there is a black cloud, it may be the rain over there. So from our experience only, we are thinking and accepting this knowledge. And this shabda, when the people say, whenever you see this, be careful. Whenever you are hearing this, you must be careful. Most of our life is depending on this type of inferences. When the people in the jungle, they live, they always go with all these cautions because they know these are the things that they do. In my life, 2-3 times I came in contact with the elephants, the huge herds of elephants. And I knew that if the air is blowing from your side to them, it is danger. If the air is coming from that side, from the elephant side to you, there is no problem. Only don't move. Quietly, you should be there. I really practiced that and it was successful. Even then, these people, the Charvakas, they don't like to accept. If I go and teaching the other people who are going to the jungle, then you must behave like this, you must learn this. The Charvaka will say, no, it may not sometimes act. That may be true. Sometimes it is not. But anyway, the Charvakas, they are defuting the Anumana Pramana and the Shabda Pramana. They say it is not possible, as neither inference nor authority can be proved to be the reliable perception must be regarded as the only valid source of knowledge, and that is called pramana. So, in the Charvaka philosophy, the only thing is this pramana, the direct perception, direct knowledge. Now comes another, that is metaphysics. Metaphysics is the theory of reality. What is the reality actually? Then they say, perception is the only reliable source of knowledge. So obviously, God, soul, heaven, life before birth or life after death, any unperceived law or drishta cannot be believed in because they are all beyond perception. So this philosophy do not believe all this. Why? Beyond perception, the God and all that you. Sometimes in the different way, the knowledges are coming. One gentleman from India, he has written to me, Swamiji, please believe me, not to me, to all the Swamis, wherever, whomever he knew, believe me that constantly I am living in the company of Shiva. I thought, why to believe you if you are living in the company of Shiva? You should believe that you are living in the company of Shiva. And when you are living in the company of Shiva, all those, your nature and activities will change. If not, you are constantly thinking people are doubting, that is doubtful. That also we do. We also think in that way. Some people, they come and say, we have realized God. You may claim like that. We have to see your life, your behavior, and how you talk. So that is the question in the Bhagavad Gita you find. Every philosophy, they are constantly using these arguments. The moment you are claiming, we are not going to accept. But here they say, metaphysics only based on the perception, direct knowledge. So obviously they say, unless and until I see the God or the heaven, I am not going to believe. This is their metaphysics. And they say this, metaphysics is nothing but the material. Material objects are the only objects whose existence can be perceived and whose reality can be asserted. The Charvakas thus come to establish materialism or the theory of the matter only and nothing else. There is the Charvaka metaphysics. Then comes the world of, they say, this world is made of 4 elements. You know, we always say the 5 elements. And they say, no, it is only 4 elements. Why? Of the 5, 1 element, Akasha, they cannot understand, is beyond perception, so they don't accept. They say that we always say Panchabhuta, but they say no, only Chaturbhuta, only 4. They say Panchabhuta means the Akasha, then the Vayu, Agni, Apa, and the Prithvi, or the Kriti. But the Charvaka says Akasha is not existing because we cannot perceive it. So Akasha, they are not accepting. The Akasha means the ether, they are not accepting. The material world is therefore held to be composed of the 4 perceptible elements, not only non-living material, but also the living materials. Like the plants and animal bodies are composed of these 4 elements. And therefore, they say there is no soul. No, because another problem is coming. When you say this body is there, but within the body there is something which is living. And we all feel that, but we cannot perceive that. There is a strong argument against the Charvaka philosophy. What about the soul? We can feel that without the soul no one is living, though there is body. But what about the soul? We cannot perceive it, we cannot touch it, we cannot smell it. So what then? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling to Arjuna, this soul, no one can cut it, no one can burn it, no one can wet it, and all this. So that is the soul. When they say, do we not perceive in this consciousness, in the external material? Does it not compel us to believe that there is in us some non-material substance whose quality is consciousness, then which is called soul, spirit, or Atma? This is the question. Then the Charvaka is refuting. Charvaka is telling, deny that consciousness is the quality of any unperceived non-material or the spiritual reality. As consciousness is perceived to exist in the perceptible living body composed of the material elements, it must be the quality of this body itself. There is a very tricky answer they are giving. They are telling consciousness is there. But the consciousness is because of the combination of the four materials. That instead of what is called akasha, all the four materials that are there, these four materials, when they are coming in contact together, they are creating consciousness. How? They are giving the example. For example, the betel leaf, the pan, usually they chew, the betel leaf, lime and nut, the none of which is originally red, but come to have that reddish color tinge when chewed together. When we are chewing a pan, that the leaf is not having the red color, that the lime is not having the red color, and the nut is not having the red color. When we put all the three together and chew, red color. Similarly, all this body which are having four materials, when coming together, becoming the body, automatically creating soul. So you need not to say that it is coming from the outside or the God or this Atman, nothing like that. So don't be influenced by these arguments. So we will be refuting afterwards in the next philosophies. For example, they say molasses, gula. Originally, non-intoxication is that molasses. Originally, it is not intoxicant, because become intoxicant when it is allowed to ferment. The molasses, when you are allowing it to ferment, it becomes intoxicant. Otherwise, it is not. I don't know whether you have the experience of drinking that very wonderful liquid, very sweet, the date trees juice. Early morning, even before the sunrise, if you drink it, just like the nectar, so tasty, so beautiful, and that gives the energy too. But afterwards, suppose you are drinking the same thing when 11 or 12 years at the time, intoxicant. And if you drink that, it will be very difficult for you to control your mind. They are giving these arguments, and these are that they say soul is the byproduct of the matter, consciousness is the byproduct of the matter. If the existence of a soul apart from the body is not proved, there is no possibility of providing its immortality. Have you ever seen the soul without the body? That is their argument. On the contrary, death of the body means the end of the individual. All questions about the previous life, afterlife, rebirth, and enjoyment of the fruits of actions in heaven or hell therefore becomes meaningless. So that is their argument. And with the same argument say there is no God. God is the creator. The argument, it is forwarded. They say, can the material elements by themselves give rise to this wonderful world? That is the question the opponents they are asking to this philosophy. Is it possible the materials themselves are creating this beautiful world, and production of an object like an earthen jar, they are giving the example, requires, in addition to the clay, which is its material cause, a potter who is the efficient cause. The four elements supply only the material cause of the world, do not require an efficient cause like God as the shaper and designer who turns the material elements into this wonderful world. Don't you think that? So this is the argument forwarded, refuting that there is no God. So then they are giving reply. Materials are there, but to create something you need someone, intelligent cause to be there. So when you see this wonderful universe, this world, there must be some creator. If not, materials may be there, who will create? Charvaka, in reply, they say, material elements themselves have got each in its fixed nature, shabhava. Each and every material is having the shabhava, its nature. It is by the nature and the laws inherent in them that they combine together to form this world. There is thus no necessity for God. They are denying this. The Charvakas prefer atheism. There is no God. So we can understand, though their reply was not very strong against this, against the God, the Creator, but even then they strongly refute there is no God. We don't believe. So they became atheism. So they also said the Svabhavavada, the nature of the materials, in their own way they create all these things. So Svabhavavada or Yadrichavada, because in just way it goes, you need not to bother about this thing, it will automatically come. Then finally comes the ethics. Ethics is the science of morality. Now you understand, they will surely not say that you should have to be moral. They give the argument for the ethics, the science of morality. It discusses problem of life. What is the highest goal or summum bonum a man can achieve? That is the question. What should be the end of human conduct? What is the standard of moral judgment? Mimamsaka, they give the example, Mimamsaka believe that the highest goal of human life is heaven, Swarga. And also, the others are giving in that way, liberation, etc. Charvakas, they reject this view because it is based on the unproved existence of a life after death. When the Mimamsakas came forward and they were arguing and they were telling the end of life is Swarga, the Charvaka completely denied because after death there is no proof. Many other philosophers regard the liberation as the highest human goal. Liberation is considered as the total destruction of all sufferings. Now the Charvaka, they say, holds that none of these views stand to reason. If liberation is the freedom of the soul from the bondage of physical existence, it is absurd because there is no soul at all. So they don't understand, they don't accept the existence of soul. So the liberation of soul, that question is not coming, they don't accept it. Our existence is confined to the existence of the body and to this life. Pleasure arising in the body as the only good thing we can obtain. We should not throw away the opportunities of enjoying this life in the futile hope of enjoyment hereafter. Rather be a pigeon today than a peacock tomorrow, they said. It's better to be that. It's a very, very practical type. A sure shell is one type of coin is better than a doubtful golden coin. Who is that fool who would entrust the money in the hand of the custody of others? The goal of human life, so the ethics, they say goal of human life is therefore to attain maximum amount of pleasure in this life, avoiding pain as far as possible. A good life is a life of maximum enjoyment. A good action is one which leads to a balance of pleasure, and a bad action is one which brings about more pain than the pleasure. So the questions of the ethics, the good action, the bad action, and the goal of life, this is the answer. They say the goal of life is nothing but enjoyment, as maximum as possible in this life. And the best action, as maximum pleasure you can get, and bad action, if that action brings the pain in your body. Charvaka ethics, therefore, They say the theory that pleasure is the highest goal. That is the Charvaka theory. And the four end of human life activity, the Purushartha, the wealth means Artha, Kama, then Dharma, and Moksha, liberation. Charvaka accept only two, not four. First two. They say that no, only the activity of the Purushartha should be wealth and enjoyment. Artha and Kama. Don't think about the other two. The ethics of the Charvaka is only the logical outcome of the materialistic metaphysics. And in the conclusion, we can say, friends, this is India, the so broad-minded. And in that philosophy, only Charvaka philosophy is behaving like that and countering. Don't think that Charvaka philosophy is abolished. Before coming to Chicago, there was a meeting I was attending. Just by my side, another Swami was sitting with the Gerua like us. And when I was introducing myself that I am from Advaita Asrama, we follow Darshanami Sampradaya, Sannyasi, he said, I am a Charvaka. And this Gerua that you see, nobody gave, I only put in. And why? They said, if you put on the Gerua, people will give the respect. That's why I am putting. But nobody has given me. So it's a very strong Charvaka. So this is wonderful. But still then, they say, the Charvakas in India have been more hated than understood. And they say the skepticism or the agnosticism is only the expression of a free mind that refuses to accept traditional wisdom without a thorough criticism of the philosophy. Life chiefly on free thought, that is necessary. Unless and until there is someone who is criticizing you, how can you improve yourself? So they say, by questioning the soundness of the popular notions, the skeptic sets a new problems, and by the solution of which philosophy becomes richer. Then they are quoting Kant, the great philosopher of the West, recognized his debt to the skepticism when he declared the skepticism of Hume. Hume was also the materialist. The skepticism of Hume roused me from my dogmatic slumber. Sometimes the people continuously think that there is God and this and that. So when these Charvakas, they refute the authority of the people, it's really reasonable sometimes. In the recent times, some people in the authority of some religion, they are telling, go and kill these people. In whatever way is possible, just kill some people who are not in your faith, who are not following this particular faith. Kill them. Need not to bother about who are they and what they are doing, what harm they have done to me. Don't bother about that. Just go and kill. Under that authority, many things are happening now all over. Is it not doubtful about the authority? So if this type of authority comes in the name of religion, in the name of God, I ask you to go and kill, shall we follow it? So that is the question the Charvaka is raising. There is no proof that even if I kill them, that I will go to heaven. You are tempting me that I will go to heaven if I kill these innocent people whom I never knew. Without any questioning, we are following that. Is it good? So that is the Charvaka actually helping us to go back to the philosophy, to understand what should be the real point. The Charvaka similarly saved Indian philosophy from dogmatism to a great extent. Thank you very much. And this is the heterodox philosophy, those who do not depend on the Vedas. So first we have discussed about the one philosophy, the Mahavira Jain, and today we have discussed this Charvaka, and next class we will try to discuss about Buddhism, who also deny the authority of the Veda. After that, we will start reading and the arguments. We will come to know about the orthodox philosophy, who believes on the authority of the Veda. So thank you, friends. Thank you for coming. We have some sweets over here. Today I am supposed to give the eggs, Easter egg, but instead of egg, I thought it is better to give you sweets. So we will distribute the sweets, and there is also the food available. Thank you very much for coming, and pranam to Swamiji for this.